we got tricked out of what we knew. Like if we known that this rice was from here and it grew here wildly and they came here and they cultivated it, you know what I mean, took it back there and the corn and the tomato and the potato saved their life by itself.
We fed the world.
Man, and if we had known that back then, like Rod has said, man, we would not be in this predicament we are at now. And because it's been for so long, and because there was so many different aspects coming at us and doing this to us, it's like, well, goddamn, where do we start? You know what I mean? So shouts out to Chief Pontiac, man, for letting us know where we should start at, and also not where we should start at, but get us halfway in the game. The rest is up to you from where you're at with your genealogy, because that's the only thing else that can save you from there or can take you farther. So shouts out to you, Chief Pontiac. You know,
appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm one of them 7'4", man. I'm shy, you know what I mean? Early 80s. You know what I'm talking about? 15, 19, you know what I mean? 7'4" to the world blow. Just let you know. Word. Word.
GD.
Hey, Dots, why you looking like a dinner?
I don't know if I see that.
Why you looking like a dinner tonight? You look like you got the house set up. You waiting for me to come to play the piano. You know, or you know, while Rod sit on the couch and drop the history, I'm playing the piano while you cooking. You know, and you know, we got Nyambi just sitting there with her pad like she's the interviewer. You know, I see that. Let me stop, y'all. Let me stop, man.
Yeah.
Y'all smile, man. Smiling is always better than being sad, man. We done been duped for so long. And
but you know what? I think also
this much of hope.
I think also. Oh, sorry, LTK. What were you saying?
Oh, my bad. I was saying this much of hope.
Okay.
Right here. This much of hope.
Yeah, no, I was saying that I think also that much of what you were talking about, Rod, right? It requires some things that I don't think a lot of people have in 2024, and that's discipline and heart.
That's fact.
And most people ain't got that.
Correct.
I know sometimes I might sound like I might sound a little mean.
Yeah. Does environment have to deal with that? Go ahead, Rod. And elaborate with her question. Does environment have to deal with Sister Dots just say? Can that play an impact on the way that people feel?
Of course. You're a product of your environment. What goes on in your environment, it molds the person that you become because of what you have to deal with that may not be the same if you would have grew up in a different environment. They've been running experiments with the Chiefs when they catch them as babies. They take them from their mama and they adopt them to a foreign family that's not from the same blood stock to see if they can raise them different. The nature versus nurture experiment is what it's called. When they was taking these kids and swapping them out in the hospitals, they wanted to see if a Czechoslovakian woman could raise an Irish baby, so they switched them at birth. Right? They wanted to see if the Mohawk sister and the Shoshone sister can raise the baby like it's his own, so they switched them in the hospital. But they kept a record, you know, and a couple times they got caught. So we know what they was doing because they got caught. So the environment is definitely a factor on how you perceive the world. Because what you see first is what you learn to use as your defense offense strategy as you move through life.
So it starts with your environment or community.
Yeah. Well, it don't start with them. It start in your house.
Well, yeah,
It's, it's
I
the
got
same
you.
way. It's the
My bad,
same
my
way.
bad. I was already advanced. But thank you for taking me back, bro. Yes, where do we need to start from? My fault for going too far ahead. Yes, we need to start in the house. Go ahead, Chief.
When the chief is born, the chief don't just automatically become the chief. He got to first go through all of the lessons with his immediate family, right? Then the families determine that he's now ready to go in the community and to meet the different other up and coming chiefs to establish his ranking system in the hierarchy of the next set of chiefs that's rising up on the land. Once he get done being examined by his local community, if he get the love and respect, now they send him out into foreign communities. They might send a boy from Detroit to LA to see how he can um, hold his own based on what he was taught in his own culture, right? If he was taught the right lessons on respect and discipline, when he go to other lands, he already know that he have to respect the people from that land if he want them to give him the respect back. I'm a GD. I can't go out to LA telling the Crips how to run nothing, right? I can go out there and give them their respect and then sit down with their OGs and say, look at what I learned. And if you want me to help you use it, I will. Right? That means I ain't telling them what to do. I'm showing them what I got to offer and offering my assistance and making sure it's workable. Right? The same if they'd have sent me to New York. I'd have had to visit all 5 boroughs because I've been there. I had to do it. I'm gonna have to go to New Jersey. I'm gonna have to see what the surrounding areas is and how the people respond according to the culture of that area. It ain't the same as Chicago. It ain't the same as Detroit. It's its own culture. So if you learn your culture correctly, it teach you how to respect other people's culture. So when they send you to the other tribes, the Delaware tribes, the New York tribes, to be examined to determine if they're gonna give you a pass as a chief. And somebody always gonna have a big mama gonna say, you a nice little boy, and send you on about your way. Now, keep these other boys out of trouble. You pass the test. Chiefs are developed by being exposed to the environments of different tribes based on his developmental life function. And they use the environments to test the chief to determine if he's worth his weight in what he brings. And if he brings solutions to problem, all other chiefs is supposed to pay attention to the solution and determine if it's applicable where they are. And the rule is, uh, um, if it's applicable anywhere, it's applicable everywhere. If it's not applicable everywhere, it's not truly applicable anywhere, right? So once we know that we have to solve problems that help the most people, then we go to tasks in using the environment to learn how to correct the social engineering that's taking place in the environment. Once we combat the social engineering, now we can begin to see clearer our path.
Thank you so much, Rob. We always appreciate you coming. It's been 3 hours. We've taken up so much of your time, and you just give it willingly, which we are so grateful for. We'll let Yosef say something for you to respond to, then Ralph Gooden, then we're gonna do one last round, you guys.
Hey, thank y'all,
Well,
sis. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bounce now. I'm out, man, because Rob gonna close this thing out. Appreciate y'all, man. Hey, love you, brother, Chief Pontiac. You know what I mean? And you seen that Hoover came up. He's about to go into a trial, his first ever court hearing. You know what I mean? I'm waiting to hear the outcome on that. You know what I mean? Shouts out to Hoover, man. You know what I mean? Shouts out to my people from out of the shop. Unscrambled Minds, I love y'all. Niambi. Hey man,
We
Yasha.
love you too. Thank you so much, OTK, for coming up.
I
Well,
catch you Yasha on another day, man.
all right. 7-4.
All right. Okay. Mhm.
Yosef, what did you want to say? And then Rob will respond to what you were trying to say. And then Ralph, we'll get you right after.
Nah, I mean, listen, I kind of forgot my point, but what I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to do, is
It
trying to
wasn't that
get.
important. Did you want to ask a question before you go?
No, I was just gonna say that basically that listen, he's sharing his opinion, and I appreciate that. I mean, so yeah, I'm just gonna fall back and let him, just carry on with what he's doing. It's not a contest. It's just a sharing of information. So people will pick up wherever they want to pick up at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm not here to challenge him on anything or anything like that. We're just having a conversation. So yeah, man, peace to you, brother, and peace to everyone on the panel. Dots, Sister Dots, Sister Freedom, Sister Dots, and there, and also the other ladies and the gentlemen that just left the panel. Peace.
Peace, brother.
Peace, Yosef. Peace, Rathberg. Am I saying that correctly?
Can I make a quick statement before?
Yeah, go ahead.
You got the flow.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, I heard all y'all building. Rod, I'm a great, big fan. You do great work.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it.
And yeah, I just wanted to say it's a little lag with the audio, so forgive me. But I just wanted to say we have to realize that we all look the same. We all look the same, but we have different genetics and haplogroups, and like a lot of the Africans are mixed with like Neanderthal and Homo erectus, and so like we have a little bit of different genetic stock here in the Americas that we don't have. I mean, or that the Africans don't have. And another thing is like, and that the first continent to raise up out the water was America, from Toronto to about Delaware. I think it's called like the Laurentian Mountains up in Toronto, and that's all the way down to upper state New York. And so like we've been here longer than everyone else. And it was like ancient Americans that moved over to Africa and started those different groups of people and races over in Africa and all the rest of the world. Asians are mixed with human genetics and Denisovan genetics. Africans are mixed with Homo erectus and Neanderthal genetics. We're like the ones over here in America that's basically only human genetics. So it's like everyone has to understand that we may all look the same, but we have different genetics and different haplogroups that everyone else don't have. And we can't take it from how everyone looks. They look similar with skin tones and hair, hair type and stuff like that. Like we got to get a little more deeper into genetics and stuff like that to really kind of understand like everyone's position and like why they're saying what they're saying, why they feel the way they feel.
And most of them feel the way they feel because of the education they've been given. And the education they've been given has been under the control of the colonizers. And they haven't broke the cognitive dissonance in the revelations of the reality of different groups of people was always on all of the continents. And they got, like you say, different haplogroups, different genetic strains. But based on the climate of the when the Earth was Tiamat, the climate was different. Everything was tropical. Now we got seasons. And different parts of the planet experience seasons differently, right? And the Darwinian philosophy that they push, all of the different groups changed from the dark melanated people to the lighter, straighter haired people due to climatic conditions. But we know it was laboratory experiments being done to create worker races of people. And this is why you got different genetic stocks, is different.
And I think that's why, like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I think that's why, like, these people that we're calling Caucasians and Asians that have lighter skin and like that, they come up that way because they're showing recessive genetics from those different admixtures of things that were similar to humans. They're hominids, but they're not humans. They're different species, being Neanderthal, Denisovan, Homo erectus, Australopithecus, and that's causing different recessive genes that come up in some of those people that have that admixture that original people don't have.
Well, you got hierarchies of different bloodlines based on a length of stay on the planet. The bloodline known as the Lac Z bloodline is called the immortal bloodline, is the mother line mitochondrial link to the soils of the earth. And the mothers of the land can always be genetic tested with the earth to determine if their DNA is compatible with the geography based on their mitochondria. And they'll tell you where they're from. See, from here. These sisters over here, they can read the earth talk to them. And that's why Sister Freedom dots them. They can tell by the energy projected by the people from the land is different than the people who not from the land. And most of the time, the people not from the land carries an agenda that's belligerent to us. It's part of the propaganda war.
Exactly. And that's like if we would,
I'm not sure why it freezes up on you,
like if
but
we was
okay.
to give blood transfusion, to take blood transfusions from some different people that look like us.
I think the ancestors are saying,
Yeah, like we can actually die or we could kill them just from having different types of blood, although we look alike.
Yeah, different blood groups.
That's a fact. Well, thank you so much, Raf, for no, sorry if I'm just demolishing your name, but Rafferg.
So I think,
What is it?
no problem. Sorry, y'all. I just wanted to say that and get that off, just because I think we all just got to look a little deeper into like more science, like genetics, biology, and a bunch of other stuff.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Sister Freedom. Let's go ahead and get our last go around.
Peace,
Well,
everybody.
thank you for
Peace,
coming,
peace.
Peace and love.
Ferg, I think. Okay. Well, I
Right.
just say thank you.
What about
Rob.
the other sister? She don't
Always
got a
a
question.
pleasure.
Yeah, Naambi.
It's always a pleasure because it's always an interesting conversation, and I learn something every single time that you come on. And I hope that you come back soon. Come back again with us. We always have fun when you're on here. And I'm gonna have some real mysterious questions for you next. I gotta look into some stuff and see
Okay.
what you know. See what you know about the Hindu world. Since that's supposed to be the first religion. But hey, Sword.
Hinduism not a religion.
Oh well, okay. Okay.
There's
Wait.
only three religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Those
Okay.
are all three Roman controlled constructs.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Why do you say Hinduism is not a religion? Why do you say that?
like,
Because Hinduism has so much more than just a religion would have,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they have a lot of, it's really more, the term Hindu is more applicable to the people than the practices of the people. They have what's called spirit science. Spirit science is not the same as religion. Spirit science is supposed to give you keys to liberate your soul. Religion is supposed to lock you down in a self-binding ritual to restrict yourself. They don't have the same purpose at its source. And my
But
phone
don't
about to
Hindus
die.
believe in the caste system?
Yeah, but the caste system has nothing to do with religion. That's
But I'm
some
saying,
Anunnaki shit.
yeah, no, I'm thinking just in terms of balance, right?
Mhm.
In terms of energy. So if there's a segregation of people based on quote unquote class, it doesn't breed balance. It doesn't breed not equality but equity. It doesn't it's a unhealthy, unbalanced type of dynamic.
Hinduism was in place long before the caste system.
Correct. Correct.
The caste system is a later addition when the Anunnaki wars, those ones at the top, the royal families, is Enlil children. The ones at the bottom called Dravidians with the afros looking like the Jacksons in the 70s, those Inky kids. They had to take the bottom because Enlil pulled rank on Inky and put his children at the bottom, put Inky children at the bottom and his children on the top.
Mm,
It's the same with Zeus putting Alexander in charge
mm,
to usurp the Greeks in order to establish Rome. It's the same thing. But the
okay.
religion came out of Rome as a social control mechanism. The spirit sciences in Hinduism was there before any of the political dynamics of the caste system was established because it was supposed to be a spiritual community that was originally set up. And that's why a lot of the Sanskrit words have a lot of power in them. Because as long as you're trying to be them, they 100% right. You are an imbecile in a legal jurisdiction. And you keep traversing on their jurisdiction because you don't know no better. As soon as you learn better, you separate. Ain't nobody getting to their trust until we get done with this shit. And then you ain't gonna have to look for what's yours because the order has already been given. Give everybody what they rightfully earned, what they rightfully deserve by the law of right, which is the law of righteousness. Right? So if you took their family shit, this the Jubilee year for you to give it back. We gotta have enough memory of the culture because all of the parts of the story is in our culture told in song and dance and art. Where a picture worth 1,000 words, where we reading pictures, right? Because we didn't just read the written word. All of our written documents was kept at Big Mama house. So if you go back and you find out that a lot of our elders' birth records got burned up in the town square, in the city hall building, and they all burned them down to get rid of the records. But the records that predate 1492 is kept in caves in national parks so that we can't stumble across them. And then they flood us with misinformation to deliberately mislead the people. And anybody that try to tell us what's going on become marked for death. That's a Steven Seagal Italian knock for you. Mark for death.
In my head, not even in my head, like in my body, in my spirit, whenever, like, all I feel like and all I can sense, the best reference I have is I grew up watching Sailor Moon in Italy, and I've recently had it on in the background just playing, and I'm just blown away by all the symbolism in there to begin with. And all I truly feel and see is like Crystal City. That's where I feel like I'm going next.
Right. The Crystal City is going to land in Colorado on Emerald Lake. It's a jumper ship. That's the Cordoba, the city of gold they couldn't find. Because when the Anunnaki Wars took place, when Enlil launched his power attack on Earth, that's the ship that Enki's son Marduk took to Nibiru. And when Enlil's son Marduk took over Earth, Enki's son Marduk took over Nibiru so that the Enlil won't shoot for his father's seat of power, which would have really been fucked. So when the ship come back, that's where it's going to land. In that county that Emerald Lake is in, it's called, I think it's called Bow County.
Mm-hmm.
And that county is shaped like the Liberty Bell.
So now that I'm talking to you, I actually, when I was a child, like elementary school child, I read a book that talked about this like crater hitting somewhere, creating a lake, and then like these vampires or like other beings came out. And I keep thinking about that book a lot.
What's the name of it?
I don't remember at all, because it was an Italian book too, because I was in Italy at the time. Mm-hmm. But then
because they got books over in Europe that we don't get, we don't have over here, and the information that they put out in the public domain over there is no ways the same as the information we get. When we get Oxford University's History of the World and Georgetown University History of the World, Georgetown is over here, Oxford is over there. But when you look at the history of the world, they tell two entirely different stories.
That, like, I follow that because I'm assuming it's because, you know, the experience, the life experience that I've had, where I've lived in 3 different continents, and I did go through the Italian educational system. And I say it often, but I haven't really learned anything since I've been in the States. I've learned how to play the system because the universities have always tried to like tell me one thing over the other, as far as like what my progress was. But then I moved to Atlanta. A few years later, I went to visit NOLA for the first time with a girlfriend. We walked into a voodoo shop, and we ended up speaking to a woman who was doing readings, and we ended up speaking to her for hours. And she was reading my friend and like giving her messages and all sorts of things. And then she looks at me, and at that time, plenty of quote unquote weird things had happened in my life, but I never really truly embraced it because my grandma was schizophrenic and my mom has a ton of trauma from it. So it's never really spoken about until I started asking questions recently. But that woman, when she came to me, she just looked at me for a few minutes and she was like, I can't read you. Like, all I'm getting is deep waters. And
that's your mother line's protection, a veil that they put up for the oracles. That should have told her a couple of things. That one, that you come from an earth tribe, because but your earth tribe is waterbenders. When your birthday?
January 28th. So I'm in Aquarius.
Yep. So you write on the energy signature for that. That's why she couldn't see nothing but the waters.
And I love the water.
So when you go back and you study the customs of old Italy, they had the same Big Mama You know what I'm talking about? The old lady that make, come here, son, sit down and eat. You're not leaving my house without a plate. That lady, right? That's an Earth trait. That's not Anunnaki. We do that on Earth. It's a mother thing to do. And on the feminine planet, you can tell those native because these women have to feed you before you leave, because if something happened to you, she could have gave you your last meal and received the blessing for feeding you before you went out.
So if she wasn't able to read me, but I also wasn't trying to make it easy for her to read me.
I know, because you wired that way from your life experiences and your genetic memory.
So what about when I do go get readings and they're very on point? Is it because I'm more open?
You participate.
Okay.
Right, because you have to trust the person doing the reading enough to participate, and then they can pick it all up.
Right. And speaking of, Italian ways, a few years ago, I was listening to Imani heavily, and she was talking about she was just not gonna interact with us anymore and stop going live because she was catching a lot of backlash for it. And I remember feeling also.
Who is she?
The Hood Healer.
Okay, all right, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, because that's how I found you, through her. But this was before.
She asked good questions too.
What's up?
She asked really good questions.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I saw that live and I was just shook. I was so confused and not confused at all. Like, it was the weirdest feeling. And luckily I had one person that I could share the video with, and they confirmed a lot of things that I have been feeling, going through my whole life. I'm gonna stop going on live. I'm gonna stop doing the readings. And I freaked out a little bit because she was just like so on point, and like I was receiving her messages and whatever she was saying. But anyways, I go to an artist market, and there's a book there that's called Italian Witchcraft. And I just pick it up, and the girls are like, that's so funny. My partner didn't want me to bring this book. It's a rare book, but I just brought it. And then when I was reading it, I was like, I feel like I know all this stuff, but I don't know how I know the stuff, because it's
genetic memory. When you pick up a book and you like, it's Italian, real true Italian magic is based around food.
I believe that.
Spirit cooking. Like a lot of what Abramovich was doing with spirit cooking, she used the blood rights of the Babylonian blood magic and instituted them into the Italian cooking. And she's from Russia. He was an agent that came over here in a witness protection program from Russia through the CIA. That's why Abramovich was even here. But she was protected by the old man George. But Bush brought the individual over here. Right? I ran across a lot of people telling me to abandon the people that sent me on the mission because they didn't like the way they looked. But they sent me to go extract their ass from some dumb shit. That make this shit make sense. You a soldier, I'm a soldier. The general sent me to come get you, and you want me to abandon the general in order to run off with you. Make it make sense. It don't work like that.
So, like, is it possible that Grandpa knew more things that he ever shared with anyone?
Yeah, a lot of what was going on in World War II was kept secret because they didn't want their children privy to that type of traumatic information.
But at the same time, he's the one that was married to my grandma, the schizophrenic, and
that just means she was an untrained oracle.
I'm aware, but nobody in the family saw it like that. Especially now.
You're the only one supposed to figure it out. Okay. That's your job. You're the family redeemer.
The family is all spread out. I don't talk to anybody from.
You still the family redeemer. You still the family redeemer. No, that don't matter. Your birth position in your family tree classified you as the family redeemer. That's why you're born under Aquarius. We're going into the Aquarian age. The water signs rule with the wisdom of the ages.
So, like, regardless of the fact that nobody in my family
They'll be back.
hears what I'm talking
Look,
about.
they don't have to hear you. When the shit get done clearing up, they gonna look for you, because they're not gonna be able to get to their family bank without you.
And whatever information I feel like I'm still missing, that's just gonna
It'll come
in.
Yeah, because if you get everything at one time, you won't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Knowledge comes in degrees and by level. The level of understanding increases the level of information. If you're not mentally prepared to process it, digest it, and apply it, it has to wait until you develop to the point you are. And that's why it takes some of us 50 years to be an elder, but others are elders at 33 or 42 or 44.
Okay.
Because it takes us different levels. The older souls take the longest to wake up because they do everything slow.
It's just, I'm so grateful for you because, like I said, I've had so many questions, especially like things just started happening when I got to Atlanta. Like my diet started changing, just like weird things. And that's really when I started becoming aware of like these questions that I've had. And then this like anger towards men, although like personally in my life, I've had shitty boyfriends, but I've had great men around me. And I never quite understood where that
So
comes
let me explain it to you so you can understand. The reason why a lot of women are put off with men is because there's been an ongoing rape campaign, desecration of holy places, which mean the mutilation of women, both vaginally and both the mammary glands, desecration of the holy places. The women who are in sync with Mother Earth know that she's going through the same thing, right? They cut down the tree of life in South Africa because that's where we used to store our memory. So when we reconnect back to the tree of eternity, the tree of life, but we put our hands on it and it grounds, and our consciousness will feed through our body, and our DNA will begin unlocking in levels. And we used to do these rituals. The major one, the mother tree was in South Africa at the Yoni of Earth's Yoni. But you had these trees all over the world where tribes would go to upload and download information. The trees are record keepers of the earth as well as the stones, right? So we go and we put our hands on the tree and our bare feet to the earth, and whatever signature our family over the years is left in the tree uploads into our system through a cycle of information exchange between you and the tree. That's why they are so gung-ho on chopping these trees down. They got a whole campaign been running in South America for the last 200 years, and they can't get the Amazon rainforest chopped down fast enough. But now it's too late because all these tribes waking up.
Okay, so South America cutting down trees. Then why is South America in the state that it's in? And I'm particularly thinking about Venezuela. Like, my mom went maybe 5-6 years ago and had a mental breakdown when she was there because of like how scarce the resources are.
They still have war energy hovering over them. The whole South America, Central America, North America has been in a warlock for the last 200 years. So when we go back to Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, and these different countries down there, in certain areas where you go, where the warriors fought the hardest, where the energy is the strongest, and you get caught up in that war energy. And if you're not strong enough to absorb and transmute it so you can use it, it'll break your ass down, like a midget breaking down a giant. You won't ever understand what's going on because you're not reading the lay of the land and the energy of what's been going on. We've been in a long 500-year war, right? And they've used every artifice of deception to keep us from ever figuring out what the fuck they was doing.
So back to the paperwork, and I apologize if I'm being dense.
You got to keep coming back because it's a question that needs to be clarified, not just for you.
Exactly. So like, what is the strategy for someone that doesn't have the material or financial means at the moment to hold them over?
That ain't nothing they can do. They just got to do the best they can until they're in a different position.
Okay.
But everybody finna feel the pinch.
Okay.
When we get to the flip point, everybody gonna feel the pinch. Ain't no escaping somebody. You can try to avoid the suffering, but it's coming. Okay. And it's not doomsday prophecy. It's transition from old to new. It's labor pains, birthing pains. A woman understands that better than anybody else. You ain't gonna escape the pinch. You're gonna feel it.
The other thing that I kind of keep thinking about in terms of like paperwork and your words about like people are just gonna start dropping around us, repeat in my head all the time. And I mean, I feel like I've been talking to robots for a long time.
A lot of these motherfuckers is.
So the other thought that I had recently is like, are they actually gonna start like dropping around us? Or
they already started. They got a whole movie out called I forgot the name of it. It's like sudden death or something.
Right.
Everybody blaming it on, but this shit was gonna happen whether they do it or not, because everybody not synced to the mitochondria of the earth, and that's how Earth get rid of the parasites.
Okay, so that's what you mean, like because I was like, the other thing that it's making sense to me or coming to me, it's the fact that like consciousness and awareness. So like obviously the more you tap into yourself, what you're seeing with your eyes of this reality, it's going to be entirely different than everyone else around you.
Well, I'm gonna give you a prime example. If you went to Chicago in '92, all of the suburb cities had big strip malls. That was the thing to invest in. If you go there now, all of those strip malls is empty. Where in the fuck is all these people at? Like nobody's noticing that there's millions and millions of people literally not here no more. Some of them, right? We went to bed one night, woke up, and they don't exist. Right, but we still in the same holographic construct, so the layout looks the same, but some of the what they call non-actionable players in the game just not in the game no more. We passed that level now.
Okay, I have tons of questions. So you let me know when it's time for somebody else, because I have tons of questions. But in terms
the name of that movie was Die Suddenly.
Die Suddenly?
Yeah.
I mean, I rewatched Avatar before 2020 hit, and granted, I was stoned, but when the movie was over, I was so shook because I was like,
because it's the story of the Anunnaki's arrival on Earth.
Yeah, I was like,
all you got to do is remember this: when we was breathing the double oxygen molecule, we were governed by what's called the platinum group metals. They came platinum group metals. And our skins were pinks and greens of different olive hues. When you look at the olive, it's not just green olives. You got black olives, red olives. You familiar, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But these different shades of the olive, it was used to represent the different daughters of Isis, which was the 12 daughters of Isis and the sun. The last two daughters, Scotta and Scotia, was the founders of Scotland and Ireland. These was the ones they ran out when St. Patrick talked about he was hunting the snakes. So we say olive complexion because it's a series of colors.
And my mom is olive tone, and if she spends 2 minutes under the sun, she just entirely dark. But in terms of universal law, right? If energy is neither created nor destroyed, and if everything you put out must come back to you, then what did women do that we've been oppressed for so long?
The women didn't do anything. That's what made it so evil. The women are being oppressed for being good, for being inherently righteous at the root, and being the heirs to earth. This is what their punishment was for. It's a war, but it comes across as punishment because you can only see the side that of the war that we own, the victim side, the defender side, the black side of the chessboard. They coming in from the attacker side, the white side of the chessboard. And that's why they use these color designations to divide us so we can't never figure out the game they playing.
So it's not because we got to, like, it's not because we misused our own power once we created man?
No. That was done by permission of Prime Creator. It was a joint venture between Mother Earth, the Queen of Heaven and Earth, and Prime Creator to create men for companionship and protection because they knew that the motherfuckers was coming. And the women back then had instant manifestation abilities that was usurped using conjuring science. That's why they put the moon there to handicap the women. That's what the story of Eve is all about. If people pay attention to the story, the first rat on record is motherfucking Adam bitch ass because he didn't protect his woman, and then he told on her and gave her up to the enemy who was masquerading as their god. Where she was standing firm, he threw her to the wolves. Now that's a bitch ass, coward ass motherfucker if I ever seen one.
There was a time that you were talking about, I believe it was you, about braiding hair and how that's protecting your crown chakra or whatnot. And when it was time for my confirmation in Italy, I'm not sure of what ended up happening, but I ended up doing all my girlfriends' hairs and braiding all their hair, which I think about often nowadays.
Hairdressers was a position of rank in our